Okay, so while we're here, we also decided to record these models that I built for the Romanian competition for RoLug. And basically, according to the rules, I had to make an 8x8 Tatra. Was limited by 4 L motors for driving, but I can use a Buick 3.0 for powering, and I also am using a powered up L motor for the steering. For this model, I decided to use 6-wheel steering, so the rear wheels and the front wheels steer, and it has a very high steering angle, especially the frontmost axle. You can see it steers around 40 degrees, which is very high for a Lego model, let's say. And when we're steering, we can also see that the steering wheel is turning. And of course, being a Tatra, it has 8x8 wheel drive. All 8 wheels are driven, there is no differential or anything. So it has constant wheel drive on all the 8 wheels. And we also have a V8 engine here in the back, which spins alongside. And the way the drive is made is basically I am using this clutch 22 gears. And the reason I'm using these gears is that the drive is made so that the drive axle and the axle holding the suspension system are not the same. Because usually when people are building Tatras, they use the same axle for driving the wheels and for holding the suspension and everything in place, which causes a lot of friction because that axle will be holding the weight, will be holding the torque from the wheels, will be trying to resist the wheels pushing the model, and it will be the drive axle, and that will cause a lot of friction. And using the clutch gears, I managed to avoid this so that this axle doesn't spin. Its only job is holding the suspension, and the gear spins freely. And the gear is driving one of the 28 tooth gears here on the side, and to drive the other half of the axle, I'm using a CV joint here. So this is a very unique solution. I never used it before, and it seems to work really great. I mean, we were driving all over all kinds of steep rocks and stuff, and it has a lot of torque, and it's very reliable. Like I can show you here. Let's spin it this way, and if I give it gas, you can see all wheels are spinning. There is no clicking, there is nothing. So I'm really happy how reliable it is, and it has a really nice steering angle. And lastly, the most, of course, famous feature of the Tatra is the suspension system. I'm using the original suspension system, so the wheels have half axles which go directly to the center, and I'm using hard shock absorbers in the front because I have lots of weight in the front. So the cab with 5 seats, the fake engine, the buoys, that's a lot of weight in the front. So hard suspension in the front, and in the rear I'm using soft shock absorbers, and all of the axles are almost the same. The only difference is the third axle doesn't have any steering, and the difference between the axles is the steering system. Basically, the steering arm is the shortest in the front and the longest in the rear, which means I get the highest angle in the front and the lowest steering angle in the rear. So this is the truck. And finally, there is one more feature, which I'm really proud of also. I have to put this in my luggage case when I'm traveling, so the whole model can be split apart. And I can also quickly show you that. Let me just turn off the phone so it won't drive. And basically, anything that's orange, you pull out. First comes the rear decoration. You can also remove this to improve performance, of course. And now I'll just remove these 2 parts. And these 2 orange parts. Pull out these 2 pins. Ta-da! And now we have a half Tatra ready for basically transportation. And here you can also see the steering axle, and in here comes the drive axle, which is driving the wheels. So I'm really happy. It's not just reliable and good looking, it's also modular. So yeah, and you can also drive it like this. It's kind of silly, but it kind of works. And because it's modular, you could probably also extend it or shorten it. You could also make it just a 6x6 or add another axle here in the rear. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. And let's see, I hope it works great in Romania. And if you like it too, then please remember to like, subscribe, and see what's coming next. Thank you.